And we are live for another Biddle Saturday night. PZ's
Good evening,
back,
everyone.
Yeah.
and Joe's here.
Skeleton.
So if we got a skeleton crew. Barb says she's not going to make it. I know that. Michael and Ryan are living it up down at Self, so they're not going to be here. But maybe we'll get a couple other people. Who knows? We may get one or two.
Well, those guys need to pipe in here live from there. That's the way the deal's supposed to work.
That's right. Well, they're too busy. They're too
Having
busy.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fanboy and Noah and
Right.
yeah.
Did you watch anything? Did you watch anything, Joe, from there?
I have not yet. No.
I tried listening to Michael's broadcast, but we just ended up giggling in the IRC chat channel because Michael couldn't get his PC hooked up to all the equipment. I don't know
Yeah, but you know what? I felt so bad for him because he had some technical issues. And, I mean, okay, so when I first heard Noah say they're going to go live, I think it was 2:45 he was supposed to go on. And Noah's there like kind of like saying, hey, you know, like we're having technical difficulties. He's, you know, cool about it. And then I kind of like my first impression was, yep, Michael's late. What's new? But then he had so many technical issues. I felt so bad for him, man.
Yeah, and that's just proof positive again for me. I don't know what was causing it, but they was talking about some PNP private network, something or other that wasn't working. Not private internet access, but some key that allows him into his system to get access to certain stuff. And I'm thinking, no way after that am I going to secure, encrypt, play silly sausages with anything like that.
I have heard many people say they encrypt their drives, and I've heard many people say they've encrypted their drives and never had a problem. But it's always that one time like that, or like I've tried it in the past and couldn't get different. Like I had encrypted one install that I made, and then I couldn't access it from any of the other installs that I had. And I'm like, you know what? Not going to do it. Not going to happen.
No, absolutely. And then wasn't there some rumor about he was using Ryan's Chromebook?
I don't know if it was Ryan's, but he was using. They gave him a Chromebook or something to use to do the presentation. Then, so he didn't have his stuff on it, and it was. I don't know all the details. Like I'm talking.
We'll find out.
I'm talking like just by assuming some of this, but I know that they gave him a Chromebook to use. I don't know whose it was.
It does seem a bit strange. Yeah, here you go. You're doing a KDN live broadcast. Have a Chromebook.
Yeah, right.
What?
Yeah, but it might have been Ryan's running a Linux operating system, so who knows?
Possibly.
I have to correct myself.
Find out.
I did listen to one of Noah's. It was I don't know if it was like an Ask Noah show or whatever. I came in kind of late in it, but that's about the extent of what I heard. And I do remember him mentioning you were going to be talking to Michael, so I didn't get a chance to hear that. But it's too bad that they had any issues because I know how anticipated he was to be on there and get to see all that. So, but I'm still sure it's going to be a good trip overall.
And then some of the pictures we've seen in the Telegram group, he had a hair out of place. Is he ever going to live that down?
Probably not.
There's Dark 17. No, I'm sorry. It's not Dark 17. It's not. It's Dark One Linux Tech Gaming. That's what it is. What's going on, Matt?
Not much. How you doing, Rocco?
Awesome. Hanging out with you guys.
Man, I almost look like I did one of these today again. Made sure I got a fresh cut before I came on, and
yeah,
it's almost like I lost some hair.
Well, I had a face full too, but you'd never know because it's so light you can't tell anyway. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on with mine. It just seems to be dark here, and the rest has all gone grey on me. So I might have to chop that back off.
Carl's in the house. Carl Spangler.
You gotta get him on.
We play Rocket League, so Carl, you love TrueCrypt. Come on, man. I used AxeCrypt actually when I was on Windows years ago, and I had did my documents and encrypted them, and then I know that I used the right password, and I could never get back into those files. I lost them forever because I couldn't decrypt them. And I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
That's the downside. To me, it's like a risk with that. I mean, I get it, but
It's a nice feature, but I'm too
yeah.
no.
Just a whole lot of no.
No. No.
Well, you want to have the best encryption. Then you just put them on a separate drive and you stick it off somewhere, and you take it, make sure it's not hooked up to anything, and then when you need it, you plug it back in, and
Yeah, but you got to remember the password though.
No, but I'm saying you don't encrypt them at all. Best encryption is just take your drive, back up what you want, and stick it out in the firebox somewhere, and or vault. But I don't know. It's electronics, Electronics is electronics is electronics, and any day or any time. So,
Matt, what are you up to?
Well, at the moment, I'm talking to you. So
I haven't decided if I'm going to the event in Philly.
FOSCON.
FOSCON in Philly, yeah.
Oh,
it's not. It's probably the closest Linux, whatever you want to call them, get together, gathering, fest, whatever. Then it's probably the closest one to me. So
it's one day. It's only,
yeah.
It really is because I think outside of anyone in New York or Boston, that's pretty much going to be the closest. I mean,
is there one in Boston?
Usually they do one somewhere around MIT. I'm not sure exactly what they do.
Okay.
I know they've done some Ubuntu stuff up there. They've done a half dozen other ones.
Geez, even the Linux Ohio Fest is, what is that? 6 hours away from me? Across the state?
Yeah.
I know Pittsburgh's like almost 5. Well, I don't know about now. I'm kind of a little more west than I was before, but at least 4.5 Pittsburgh is.
Matt, did you know that you are known as? I'm trying to remember if I get this right. Is it the YouTuber that shall remain, or what? Nameless, or what did you call him on Destiny?
No.
No.
It wasn't Matt we were talking about. It was Martin Wimpers.
Oh, I could have swore I heard a dark one in there somewhere. But
no, that was a reference to his podcast where he has Mate as the distribution that shall not be named.
Oh, because I know you mentioned Martin, but I don't know why I thought I heard you kind of whisper out dark one. So maybe it was just wishful thinking. I don't know. I'm just kidding, Matt.
It's Ryan's way of getting him back for the RTFM crack.
Oh,
yeah.
And I don't know.
That was an awesome show this week, and Popey is always good, especially when there's horns blowing outside his window.
Sorry, guys, I didn't know you were waiting there. I was not paying attention to the waiting room.
And I haven't got that ability, so
you do. I gave it to you.
Not according to this. I'm just still everyone.
Oh no! According to me, you are a co-host.
I suppose it helps if I get the right window up.
And hey, look, or should I say
there is chicken.
Or should I say Mac OS?
Where's the hat, dude? Chicken.
He can't hear.
Can you hear me, chicken?
Pulse audio.
To chicken.
Derek, what's going on?
Oh, my mic worked. Oh, I was actually shocked you heard me. So.
Yeah.
Well, Derek, that depends if he's running Linux or if he's running Mac OS.
Yeah. You mean elementary?
No. I actually mean Mac OS.
That's the reason why I come back to Peppermint every single time, because it just works. It's my go-to distro, and it's like, here we go. I'm on Zoom. Let's get on with it.
Okay, Zeb. So how long now do you think it'll be before EB throws a trash can at his computer? Because I kind of convinced him to try Linux Lite. I think it was like because he took a little poll last night on Toss's show, and Ubuntu or Kubuntu, and they're both beautiful distros, but I kept saying Linux Lite. Well, then today, and I don't know if it was because I had anything to do it, but I told him Linux Lite. And he tried it today, and he sounds like he's happy. But how long will it be before he throws a trash can at it and gets back?
Well, he's already through an initial paddy at it because something went wrong with the NVIDIA install. because he didn't add the Ubuntu PPA drivers PPA, and that's the first thing I add before I install NVIDIA, because then you get the latest driver. But there was something wrong with the standard that came with Linux Lite, so he did that this time around. So you know what EB's like. You know, he's like the weather changing in Scotland. Wait 10 minutes and it'll be blowing in a different direction. It's just like, but that's what sometimes makes him so enjoyable to watch, because you just never know what you're going to get.
I think
it's a bit. Hey, I got a new nickname for him. We could call him Forrest Gump. and
Chicken,
like a box of chocolates.
Yeah,
Chicken.
Can't hear you.
Chicken, we can't hear you.
Mm-mm.
And flattery is the best. What did I say? Or excuse me, I got that backwards. Somebody who copies you is the best form of flattery. And did you see that Ghosty did a wacky racist thing? I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I saw it pop up. He did.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Racist. Yeah, I saw it pop up. I gotta look for it again and watch it.
So, Shiggin, if you're on your Mac, what you need to do is boot into Linux, and everything will work out for you.
Except for maybe Pulse Audio.
Yeah, Pulse Audio might not work out for you.
No, it's because I selected the wrong input.
No.
Yeah, there we go.
Chicken, where is the hat, dude? That's what I want to know. Where is the hat?
It's like I got two of them actually.
That's not good, man.
One's in a basket, and then the other one's not in a basket.
It was a shade off of the new color palette.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. But they don't sell hats, so that's the they problem, not a me problem.
Yeah, but if you look at it, his hair almost matches his background now, so he's getting there. You see?
There we go.
And who is
Matthew? Matthew, you're back for the second week. Welcome.
How are you?
Hello.
How you doing?
You came back. I can't believe it.
I know.
What do you run, man?
I run Solus on the
Nice.
OS. Yeah. Well, technically,
The budgie version?
Yeah. Yep.
The only version.
Just don't
It's
ask
not the
for
only
it.
version, but it is probably the best version.
Mm-hmm.
The GNOME version is actually pretty good.
Hey, Rocco.
Yeah. I tried it out. You know, GNOME. I almost got it to work for my workflow, but didn't hit all the corners.
But you don't hate it, though, right?
Right. Definitely not.
See,
I
that's
like
a plus.
Yeah, that's Spirit Rocco.
Well, I must admit, when I run Solus, I do run the GNOME version, because I think it runs better than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Look, my goal is not to make everybody a GNOME believer. My goal is to make everybody not hate GNOME. If I can do that,
That's a challenge.
I'll have
That's
succeeded.
that's almost as impossible as I'm going to run Solus for a year.
Yeah,
You had to go there, didn't you, Zeb?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
and that's good that Rocco is not trying to convert us all to GNOME, unlike Michael, who wants everybody to be running KDE. So
No. Plasma. Get
Plasma.
that.
Plasma.
Yeah, like I'm not saying everybody needs to love GNOME, because it either works or it doesn't work for you. But in all seriousness, I just think that most people would enjoy some of it if they gave it a chance. But they're so used to not running it, or so against it, or kind of just have this hate for it, and probably never even ran it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So what I want to know is, because I couldn't work it out from the Telegram chat, what is Shikin running these days? Is it MX?
Okay, so I had MX running, but I ran into some complications where it was a little frustrating, because it's mostly an XFCE thing. I fixed the issues with auto mounting drives and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphin helped me out with that, but one of the things that we utilize is things like GNOME Calendar, where it integrates with your synced contacts and stuff like that. Well, XFCE doesn't really have anything like that. It doesn't have like a online accounts integration, so it's not a valid long-term solution for us. But MX was running really well. It was a pleasure to use. It was a pleasure to set up. So all around great distro.
Nice.
Did
So
you
you
run
still running
Mate
it?
for about 10 seconds too?
Actually, I ran Mate for a lot longer than that. I was running it for a good month or so, actually, shortly after the release. And but they also don't have an online accounts integration system.
The there's always something missing from a distro that or if I could just take that from there and put that from here and stick it into there and just meld them all together.
That's
sure
unfortunately
everyone would
what's
eventually
pushing
make
me
their
towards Mac OS. Yeah.
You know, that's almost how every single distro is made. You know, if you think about it, like just if
Pretty
these
much.
features were with these, but there's always one that ends up being left out.
But you know what this sounds like then? You put your little wish list together, and then what does it convert to? It's a 4-letter word, Arch.
No. I'm glad somebody was going to say it other than me. I was sitting here holding my tongue. I was like,
But that's just what it sounded like when you think about it, because everybody said there was one thing missing. Well, what's the only distro that's, or not the only, but
yeah, there's a few, but Arch and Gentoo are the two big
I've
ones.
seen some great things done with Arch, but the underlying system itself just isn't as fun for me to use.
yeah, it's a work. It's a workout to do it with that. Yeah.
It's because after you're done with it, you really can't complain about anybody other than yourself because you built it.
There you go.
Well,
Pretty much,
my
yeah.
experiences with it, the couple times I tried it, was I always forgot something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so
Or
that's
it
why I
up-
say you almost have to put that list together and kind of keep track for a while, and then after a while, then you got to
You got to get the script. You got to keep it all in the script. And
yeah.
Or else you get the Arch update that breaks everything.
Yeah, I had that.
Display
I don't run
updates.
Arch
Who
anymore.
needs a display? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on Intergos when the GNOME version went wailing, and then they decided, we're not going to do that. Put it out for like a week, and then they decided not to do that. So
It's a week too late, though.
you see, the
Yeah.
problem with getting back to GNOME is the people behind GNOME, of course, Red Hat. They're developing GNOME, Wayland. They're really behind System D, Flatpak. They're really creating this, system. And if you are not running all those parts, sometimes things don't work out as well as they should.
So, explain this to me. GNOME is basically made by the guys from Red Hat. So, why do people not run Red Hat?
Well, Fedora, this a community kind of edition for.
I don't mind Fedora and Red Hat in general. I actually quite like a lot of the things about both of them. I think that they've got some good technologies implemented quite early in their lifespan as well. But I think one of the things that pushes me away from Fedora is, despite the freedoms in principle, I find it to be a little more restrictive in actual use.
Yeah.
There are some roadblocks, system inconsistencies, breakages and things like that with less Libre setups or things that are just a little less.
I was going to say Fedora for me is kind of like running straight Debian. It's just one of those things where it's functional if you have the right hardware, if you have the right this.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a constant crash carnival.
And the end user experience as a consumer and not like a developer or pro.
One of my big complaints with though,
most of us just want
is everything requires System D now. GNOME, you have to have System D basically to run GNOME. You have to have System D to use Flatpaks. It's because they're all Red Hat projects.
Yeah.
That's starting to get annoying. Where
What's
pretty much
ironic
have to have
about
System
that?
D,
It's
So,
most of the
so
people
what is it
Fedora
about
community.
System D that people don't like?
Well, it's not that I don't like it. I know there's a lot of people that hate it. I don't mind System D, but I don't want to be forced to use System D. Why is the desktop environment dependent on the init system?
But isn't that what 95% of distros are built on anyway?
Not really. Obviously, all the Ubuntu-based distros now are on it, so that's a good percentage of everybody. All the Debian and Ubuntu-based distros. Arch has moved to it, but there are some Arch-based distros that are going to hold out forever. There's been some Debian forks that are going to hold out. Gentoo's never going to switch to System D ever.
I know Dev 1 was made, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They
Just released a new version today, 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, only problem is it's about 2 years behind in the repo.
Yeah, it's a terrible experience, but it's
It's so great. It's like so promising.
But can't you point it to Debian testing
no, not
and then
really.
be up to date?
No,
That can break things though.
it
when
doesn't work quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some things would work,
Mhm.
but it'd be pretty risky. It'd be like roulette.
Oh, well, I'm going to have an interesting day tomorrow because we're going to go Dev 1
You're gonna try it.
and then we're going to point it to Debian testing.
Oh
See what
gosh,
happens.
that's a great idea.
Might as well point it to Sid and just go all out. See what happens.
I do something somewhat similar, but not quite as suicidal with my elementary OS setups.
Suicidal.
Is that for all my KDE stuff? So I'm actually running the Kubuntu backports on it, which
Wow.
certainly has a risk of breaking stuff, but I mean, it works.
Cool.
Certainly not as risky as, throwing in a system that's completely system D-less and then being like, you know what? Let's throw in all the system D.
Yeah.
Utilizing repo.
I mean, sometimes you can like add a repo, like add a Debian repo in Ubuntu because Debian has something in their repo Ubuntu doesn't have.
Yeah.
You pull down that one package, you might be okay, but you better then immediately remove that repo and
Yeah.
don't do a full system update because
Everything will jump ship onto the other.
Uh-oh.
Colin's in the
Colin's
house.
in the house.
Colin.
So we'll have 15 minutes while he gets his stuff ready.
Wait, your audio's working like right out of the box, dude?
Oh yeah, no worries.
He
You know,
didn't-
I was editing a video and I forgot what time it was.
How could you, man?
he didn't have time to hop.
That's right. Last night he forgot to
That's
plug his
quite
camera
fast.
in.
Are you still on
yeah.
GNOME?
I'm still on GNOME, yeah.
See?
Nice.
Still on GNOME.
Another
That's why it's all
convert.
working.
Yeah, that's why it's still working. GNOME is pretty good, I must say, at the moment. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking at Linux Mint 19, and I'll tell you what, that looks really nice.
Oh, Colin, you got to get that cinnamon version up and running on there. Oh, it's beautiful.
I
It
installed
is.
it.
It is
I
beautiful.
installed it on the laptop, dude. And it is
Oh.
pretty awesome.
It is
It is.
snazzy.
It
Have you
is
tried the
pretty-
backups?
I did. I set
Are
up
they
the
working?
backups, and it's working so far. But I've only, I mean, I just installed it, so I'll have to give it a couple days to see.
Did you see the
But-
recommendation where it was like, we recommend you make a backup, a system restore point like twice a day? It's
Yep.
like that's so
Two,
dumb.
what did it say? Two system backups and two something else of your
Every
one of your-
day.
yeah,
It's like, what?
that's going to take up a lot of space, I guess. Unless it has, does it have something in there to like automatically delete it after a while, or do you get a
I
menu
would
to
hope
delete
so.
Well, if they're using time shift, you can set it to delete some of the snapshots.
So
That?
maybe
Oh, yeah,
that's
you're going to
default.
have to, man, because you're going to need a ton of space if you.
It's like using BTRFS snapshots on OpenSUSE.
Mhm.
yeah.
Like, this will save you if you ever want to. Oh, you're out of space. Bye bye.
I did load up 19 the KFC. Jeez, I'm thinking XFC.
He's got chicken on the brain, you know.
Have that effect
I
on
loaded
people.
that up in the VM, and it's actually very pretty. I tell you, it's fast even in the VM. And the wallpaper is phenomenal. Whoever did their artwork did a fantastic job.
Oh,
Are they
the
still
wallpapers are nice.
Are
Yeah.
they still using the Mint X themes?
Yes.
Those are pretty
X-Reader
snazzy.
and XZ. Or Z. XZ. Z.
Oh, they're using the
Zre-
Mint apps, the X apps as
Zreader?
well.
That's Zreader.
Zreader. Good stuff.
Can they ever
Yeah,
come
but they upgraded the welcome screen. It's not near as nice as like Software Boutique or even the Ubuntu Budgie.
Certainly an improvement, though.
It's
It just
definitely an
yeah.
improvement.
Absolutely.
And have they gotten rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, or have they just?
No.
Yes,
No.
gone.
Kind of. The
No, they're
levels
gone.
are still there.
Yeah, there's like a happy
No, they're
medium
not.
now.
No, they're
the
still
levels
there.
aren't there. No, no, they're not.
They're part of the not initially, but they're still part of the update manager. They're not completely gone.
So you can. if
You
want
don't
to.
select. There's no selection of
No,
levels
but they
anymore.
still exist and they're still presented.
Do
It's
they?
not allowed.
Where-
It just doesn't ask you to choose a level.
Where
Yes,
are
but
they?
every update is checked by default.
Yeah, that's
To
the
update.
difference.
Yes.
So they still have the levels. It's just by default, all of them are done.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
there's
so
less
I see what you're
confusion.
talking about. Yeah.
in
That was
how they're
one of my-
There's
presenting
less
it.
confusion. I'm so confused right now.
Well, wait, not confusion in our conversation. There's
Okay.
less confusion when you run it.
We're
Do they
always-
have the levels or don't they? I don't know.
Well,
No,
the
I
thing
think
is-
What he's saying is the
Interesting.
levels are there, but they're checked by default to install everything, and they're relying on time shift to actually solve any issues
Yeah.
that may come up with updates.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
they're doing.
So they have
here's
levels,
an
but you don't see
interesting-
them. So it's kind of like Ubuntu. You know.
It doesn't say like there's no 5, 4, 3 numbers
No,
in the
there's
update
no
Those
numbers
manager
aren't
anymore.
shown now.
No,
But
So
go
it's-
into the preferences, you can still select them.
Yeah, but it's way less confusing for if you're
Oh,
running
yeah.
it.
So
I
here's
have-
an interesting question for you. Linux Mint have adopted time shift and made it their own sort of thing. So why is there no time shift available for 1804?
It is available.
It
It's
should
just
be,
not like a
yeah.
default.
Doesn't work out the PPA.
Really?
You had the PPA and it says, oh, there is no, when you like, it's still on Xenial. And
Well,
we're
that
on
means
Bionic
that they probably haven't brought it up for 1804 yet. They probably are working on that. I'm sure Linux Mint have done something that just allows them to easily toss that in there without having to.
I'm just wondering if Linux Mint bought them out but didn't say anything and therefore won't allow them to release it universally now.
And Ubuntu has a snapshot utility by default anyway. Doesn't it have Deja Dupe still? They've been using that for years.
A lot of them, yeah. Even default Ubuntu comes with that.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating because the service is running out of the box even if it's not set up. So, when it crashes, you get a notification even though you're not using it.
First of all, Chip, I totally agree with the theming aspect. Second of all, Anna, there is a need for GNOME and KDE as well, even if I did say Linux Mint is nice. So there.
What?
Gotta get that
Just reading the
straight.
comments. Sorry.
Gotta fix that.
Yeah, I've got to get the comments up. That's if I can do that because the internet.
You know what I really wish is there was just like a YouTube comments website where you could just access the comments from a specific
Yeah, that's a great idea.
something that doesn't make you have to like open up the stream and then just
Mhm.
comments.
Yeah,
kind of useful.
yeah, I agree. That's a great idea. I think we're going to have to
Get developing.
That's
Get-
actually doable. I just thought about how that could be done.
How's
So
that?
I mean, YouTube does everything like super systematically, so everything's assigned to a particular ID that never changes. It's like an 11-digit code.
Mhm.
So you can run say a simple GUI or even CLI application that just pulls down the type of link that's generated by that specific video. So like the little chat pop out window, and you can
We'll
have-
expect this next week, Chicken.
As a snap.
As a snap
Technically
so we
next
can all
week-
install it.
Oh god, no! Don't make me snap.
No, it needs to be some kind of in-curses program I can run in the terminal. So
That would be
Oh,
cool.
my gosh.
It's doable. I'm thinking about it. I can definitely do it.
There was
That would
such
be really
despair in
frustrating.
your voice then. Oh, don't make me snap.
Well, Derek's
You
a
really
Derek's
not like it.
a terminal guy because
I don't
I
mind
didn't
snaps.
watch the video yet, Derek, but I saw the latest video of some ridiculous statement that the command line is
Terminal's
better
better.
than the GUI. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's ridiculous.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah. I had
I'll
some
tell you
interesting
what.
comments. So.
The one thing I'd say too, again, getting back to Mint, I like all these flat-looking things that they're trying to. When I say things, because it's all the different features, whether it's your menu window or whatever. But what's driving me nuts is we talked about the paper thin borders as it was, and now we're getting even thinner yet. And you're like trying to grab them with the mouse. It seems like all of them are doing that. Does anybody else have the kind of trouble I do?
No.
I didn't have that problem with
Alt
Mint.
and left click, but
I think Mint struck a nice balance just because they still retain a lot of the less flat, like backdrop type stuff. Like if you look at the menus and stuff, they still have those somewhat 3D aspects.
mhm.
So I don't think it's as bad in Mint by default, but I do think in some of them they're pretty flat-ish and the colors can blend. Like I had when I was running MX, I was running Adapta Nocto and the Papyrus icons. So
Yeah,
when I would
nice
go to grab
combination.
one window, the colors kind of matched and blended into the background of another. So I actually ended up grabbing the other window. So I can definitely see how it's done, especially if the theme. I don't think it's necessarily the flatness. I think that it lacks contrast, some sort of like distinct difference between two sets of similar items.
A shadow,
The
maybe.
town bar, I mean,
A
when you want to
shadow would
close,
be cool.
when you want to close, close or minimize or maximize,
Mhm.
Yeah.
those things are getting tinier and tinier and tinier. Now,
I
granted,
agree,
when
Joe.
you go-
He's talking about when you have one window on the screen and you want to resize the window and you go to grab the edge of the window. There's
Oh,
nothing
there's
to
that
grab on.
too.
The border is too thin on some of these themes. You can't
It
you don't
is.
have anything to grab.
Isn't it the amount of pixelations they put there, or is that what it is?
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
like a space, yeah, and I don't think you can adjust that in like Mate as well. I think I tried to find something.
You have to
There's no,
adjust
like-
the exact theme. I mean, the actual theme
Yeah.
in order to do
It's
that.
coded into the theme itself. Yeah.
Yep.
but
Who
it's like all
designed
the
this
things are getting
system?
that way.
Well, they went that way because if you noticed when I don't know him. If you're on Windows, or if you, we'll just even say it like this: if you run a Windows theme on Linux, the borders are huge, and all of the themes kind of went away from that, where they wanted to go away from the windowish look, so they completely went too far.
Rocco, I'll tell you where this doesn't happen.
Mac OS.
Elementary
Manjaro?
OS. Mac OS.
Where's Juno at, dude?
Oh, it's right around the corner. I swear. Okay.
You
look.
told me that last week.
No, I know, but imagine we're in a very large polygon with multiple corners. All right,
Yeah,
it's around
yeah.
the other corner.
It's a
Oh my
very
gosh.
big corner, Rocco. It's a
a
very,
very big
long,
corner, I
long
know.
corner.
I can't wait that long. But I'll tell you what.
I'm super excited.
I really like Cinnamon. Always have. Never.
So have I.
I stopped running it because it was wonky and
Horrible
crashed
performance.
and stuff. Yeah, performance
Yep.
wasn't that great.
Same.
But if they fixed it, I wouldn't mind running Linux Mint because they have, obviously they have the extensions and the applets and everything, and they seem to have cleaned that up to where, they've added. I think there was. I don't know about you, Colin, but I'm pretty sure there was like at least 10 extensions in there by default.
It's
already
pretty snazzy.
So if you're going to add that amount of extensions in by default already, then they have to be working because you're not going to add buggy extensions where things are going to start crashing unless you're an idiot. So
Extensions already. Which ones you talking about, Rocco?
I'd have to go get it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Extensions already.
Well, to me, if they're going to keep these thin, paper thin themes, then they need to do something that allows the mouse to be able to grab quicker or whatever. Whether they have hot corners or however they want to do it,
That is a little strange.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about applets, right?
Yeah, applets, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
does it, Joe? Does it not work if you hold down the Alt key?
No, that it does. Alt and then like
And
you
right
said,
mouse
alt and
click.
left click, but you shouldn't have to do that. You should just be able to go to a corner, grab it, and go.
I agree.
No,
Jeff.
but shoulda, woulda, coulda. Come on, this is Linux.
Well, but so the point is if you can do hot corners or all these points on a desktop screen, then maybe they need to do that if they're going to do paper thin borders and do
It's
it
a rough crowd.
Well,
What
so
are you
I
running,
mean,
Joe? What are you running again, Joe?
Well, right now I'm still on Ubuntu Studio 1804. I'm waiting for the point to come out on Mate, and I'm going to put that back on the other drive because Mate 1804 is still on the other drive, but I want to wait for the point release and do a fresh install on there. Although I will keep this one on here. I've been saying that because I do like this, but there's some things that still aren't quite here that Mate does. The one thing I like the best about this, though, and shockingly enough, with this being XFCE, is it is like instant. Everything's instant. From putting to suspend and waking up to opening windows, everything is just like completely instant. It's there. As soon as I get them pulling my finger off the mouse, it's already open. I mean,
So tell me, Joe,
Huh?
what's the difference between an 1804 install and update and an 1804.1 install?
Well, if you remember right, when I did the 1804, I said I was going to wait until the point update came out because I remember even I think it was a Pope talking about Alan had said that you're better off wait, or was it no? Actually, what Mate was Wimpy I was talking about because I think Alan even said it too. Though it kind of like what Wimpy said is the Ubuntu's in general, you wait till the point release because that's when they really give you more of the features and they do all these add-ons and whatever else they're going to do, because you really
I
don't
thought it was
have
mainly the
the
bugs.
finished product even at the initial release. And I was going to wait, and then I just got anxious, and I wound up having issues. I wound up having some problems with things, and so I just, it was buggy. It was, and this I thought might have been buggy too, but actually a couple of updates and boom, it's been fine ever since. This has been real.
Alan Pope said it was bugs, wasn't it? Mainly the bugs are all sorted, so people don't want to run it with bugs from the long-term support initial release.
I don't think it's just bugs, though, Colin. I think because he specifically said, I don't remember Martin saying specifically too that they do not give, and I remember Alan saying this too, I believe in one of the interviews, that they don't basically put everything that's going to be in that distro until at least a point when it comes out.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't think there's no, but I don't think it's features that they add. For
Ubuntu Mate
it's
will
just
be having some that are added. Remember, he mentioned something about the high DPI improvements added after 18.
Yeah, there's features that are going to be coming. I remember them saying that specifically because
it
was
huge, but it'll definitely be there.
I think that depends on the distro, doesn't it? Maybe some of them may do, some of them maybe not.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I know that the studio here isn't an LTS, even though it's 1804. But for me, if this is if I go back over to Mate as what's going to be my permanent daily driver, and I keep this as a secondary, if something happens to it, I won't be so upset. I mean, although I am really liking this, and that's why I said if any of you guys haven't tried it lately, you should. And when I say give it a chance, I'm not talking about for a week. I've been running this 2 months now, and I'm really happy with it.
You say it's not an LTS, but isn't it automatically an LTS if it's based on 1804?
No, if you go on the studio site, they didn't. I thought the same thing, but they
can choose whether to.
Is not LTS.
Yeah.
All right.
Each one of the flavors can choose whether they want to be an LTS or not, or what. Even if they're even able to be an LTS.
Yeah,
or not.
you have to qualify for that too.
Yeah.
1810, I think, is going to be, unless I'm mistaken, is going to be their LTS. I think.
Yeah, but they can't because 1810 is only going to be out for 6 months.
I think
But I think that's what they're going to call. I think that's what they're going to call their LTS. I got to look.
Yeah, follow the norm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's on 1804 LTS. They're on 1810 LTS. Great.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
I don't even know why they called this 1804, to be honest with you. I mean,
I don't know if they would do 1810 as an LTS.
It doesn't seem very likely, especially with all the changes coming to 1810. It's definitely going to be kind of experimental.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That would be
so, Rocco,
madness.
did you check out the GNOME calendar in Linux Mint?
No, I didn't.
They got the GNOME calendar by default.
Oh, that's sweet.
The best calendar out there.
And it actually gives you weather inside the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Chickens jumping.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you,
that's
Linux
huge.
Mint 19. I mean, it's only in beta, so I don't suggest you put it on your main machines, but it's really nice.
Are you not supposed to do that, Rocco? Is that right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Rocco, come on.
Yeah.
RTFM, Rocco.
I've never done that before.
I was going to say, Rocco, you've been hanging out with Ryan too much.
Yeah, there you go.
No, because he's teaching Michael the extreme distro hopping ways, hop right before a presentation.
No. I meant the RTFM. Like, that thing Ryan doesn't do.
Yeah. Well, I do it once in a while.
Things like GNOME Calendar are super huge for me because, I recently got a new job and they do like an online scheduling thing. And it can integrate with Google Calendar. So if I can just open up my calendar app and see, when I'm working from what time to what time, like straight from my desktop. Amazing.
Awesome.
Nice.
It eliminates the need to have like one of those like actual like pen and paper, like ancient experiences.
What's that? What are you talking about? Pen and paper. What's that?
Like a rock and like something carved into it. Or,
a rock and a chisel?
what the top 3 guys would call normal. All the rest of you are way too young.
I actually like writing quite a bit. My hand cramps up sometimes.
Yeah. So, my dad, he's looking at all these people, right? And he's like, "Why is everybody on their phone? Why is everybody on their phone?" He's still got a flip phone.
Well, it's not as fun with one of those.
No, it's not. It's not. You can't. Did I tell you about my phone? that
So,
I was like using it, and there's this, I don't know, there's this feature on the Samsung phones that
feature.
yeah, bug feature, there's this feature that allows you to, and I don't know if it had anything to do with it or not, but it allows you to have two separate accounts on certain apps.
Yep.
Like a guest mode type of deal.
Yeah, so I was turning that on, and I put the phone down, right, and I did something. I come back to it, and the phone there's nothing. It won't respond. The power, nothing. Like, it was dead. Now, I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. Could have been just random. But I had to do like a power reset, one of the goofy ones you find on the internet where you can hold the volume key down and hold it in for 10 seconds, let it go. And now, when I bring it back up, half of the apps are crashing before they even, like, Blue Mail, Google,
No, it
everything.
definitely had something to do with that.
It just,
So you
everything
don't mind
just
if I'm
crashes.
not turning that on my phone then?
You don't turn it on your phone, dude. I don't know if that had any. Really, seriously, I have no idea if that had anything to do with
It
it.
might have been an Android update. I had an Android update about a month ago. Basically, killed my phone. I mean, I had to do a factory reset, and I had the same. Every app I opened would just instantly crash, and
Yeah,
it was
that's
unusable.
what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
I don't believe in coincidences, Rocco. That's just too. Turn on a new feature and kablooey. Yeah.
You backed everything up
doesn't have
before
those
it, right?
problems though, Rocco? iPhones.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
iPhones don't have those problems.
Hey, somebody's speaking.
But you know what? You know what iPhones don't have? A great camera like this Samsung does.
Yeah.
How much did Ryan pay you for that?
Or good Linux support.
S9 does have a
Which
great
Samsung you got,
camera.
Rocco?
Huh?
Which one you got?
The S8 Plus.
Oh,
Oh,
the
that one's
S8
got
Plus.
that's practically the same camera.
Still
too.
on S5.
Yep.
Still on S5.
It's a nice phone. I mean, I had LGs in the past. Zeb's got the S9.
I
is that
treated
the
myself
S9?
before I went away on holiday.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
duty free, I got an S3.
Oh,
Nice.
That's actually really nice. Good job.
I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to use it for, though, because who cares how many steps I've done today? I don't need to do that.
There you go.
I leave the house, I get in the car. That's it.
I've done 50 steps all day. I don't.
Yeah. Well, hang on, let me have a look. What if it says I've done today? Hang on. It's that bad it can't load the data.
Oh,
Don't know how
my
many steps
gosh.
it's done.
Well, I'm going to have to do a factory reset on this, and I hate doing that.
Ouch.
I mean,
Hey, Rocco, since you're in the hole already, you want to sacrifice it and run UV ports on it?
if it wasn't my main phone, I would say yeah, but no.
Lineage OS, Rocco. Lineage OS.
No way, dude.
No, that
Not that's not for
Well, that's what
production
I'm running.
machines,
It runs-
Colin.
it runs-
Not for
it runs
production.
Have
right.
it laying next to a Windows computer because just like when you catch a cold or a flu, you might have caught a virus.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, it's running all right.
So there was my day.
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's great. So tomorrow
So
I'm
she
gonna
can-
do a reset.
Chicken, you're right. The preferences are there. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Didn't they used to have 5?
Yeah,
Yep.
that should be like kernel updates.
Okay, it's in the preferences. You're right. So you can actually deselect them if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just good that they don't present it that way. One of my biggest problems with Mint wasn't actually a lot of like the security issues. It was more so the way they presented things to their users, especially
Yep.
because Linux Mint is supposed to be familiar, especially for Windows users coming over. To present updates as potentially scary and dangerous to someone coming from a
Yeah,
scary
that's wrong.
first update environment is just wrong.
I totally
Mhm.
agree, and I'm glad they've got rid of it because
I am too.
they are a good new user distro. I've given
Definitely.
it to a lot of new users, and you never have any issues at all.
Yeah, it treated me very well for a good 10 months, when I first started using it.
Me
Then
for
you
a
get
good
the
few
itch.
years, I must say. Few
Then you
years
got
for
the
me.
itch to hop.
Yes.
Yeah, then you're done. Everything. Consider all your drives toast because
If
I've
you
gotten to
guys
the
are
point-
looking for a good cinnamon distro, though, just released yesterday, Gecko Linux, their cinnamon edition, based on
Really?
Tumble. Yeah,
oh
check it out.
really? I don't think I've ever
No, they
given
had
that a
cinnamon?
go. I
I
didn't know they
never
had
had
cinnamon.
good luck with Gecko. It always seemed to trash my system. So there's a bit
Barb
of
was telling me about Gecko though last week, I think.
It
asking
would
me to
cure
try it.
your OpenSUSE issues, Rocco.
But it still uses the same stuff. It still uses Yast and all that, right?
Yeah, same tool.
Yeah.
It just
It's-
adds
it
some things
applies
to
a
be
lot
more
of stuff.
functional.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a little more to it out of the box. It's more put together. Yeah.
I guess it was a bit like, what was that Fedora respin that
Corora.
died?
Corora.
Corora. So it's the equivalent, I guess, of Corora, is it?
Yes, something like that. Yep.
Garor.
I
Well,
didn't like Aurora either.
Plus, Gecko serves an even bigger purpose for OpenSUSE because they have, these desktops that OpenSUSE doesn't officially support now. Like I mentioned, Cinnamon, OpenSUSE just does GNOME and KDE now.
Yeah, I did
Barely
look
even
at it, and
paid.
it was about 7 or 8 desktops it does, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah. The last time I looked at their website, I think it's 8 desktop environments they support.
It's like Antergos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
similar.
know who had a decent Cinnamon version, and they don't make it anymore? I think it was Apricity. It was called.
Oh, I miss
Apricity,
Apricity.
yeah, I
I
remember
love
It was
that.
an
their,
Arch-based distro. They had a pretty
Yep.
good version
Yeah.
of Cinnamon.
their ISO builder was amazing. That was absolutely wonderful.
They had some good features, but they went by
Yeah.
the wayside. So
I know
think it was the
people don't
Narwhal.
necessarily like it, but Makulu Linux does a good Cinnamon version as well.
Makulu. I don't even think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's
that's
been around
the.
for quite a while now. But the
Jacques,
problem is,
they were
Jack
Windows
Raver.
like, weren't they, Zeb? If I remember right,
say again.
they were more Windows like flavor. If I remember.
Yeah.
right.
Well, he has a Makulu Lindows, which is
Yeah.
basically a Linux Cinnamon desktop with every single possible theme, even more than Ferran OS has.
Yeah.
But the problem with Jacques is he's got such vision, such ideas, but he never finishes a flipping distro.
No, I
He's
have
got
to
3
agree
of
with
them on the go. He's got
Yeah.
Makulu Flash, Makulu Switch, and Makulu Leather, and they're all great, but
It's
they're
like
all
being
in
in a candy
beta,
shop.
and they're not finished. They're not.
He's got
And he'll
Shift as
get
well.
bored with something, and he'll move on to something else as well.
He's got Makulu Shift as
So
well.
you can say
That's
it's
the
kind
one.
of
Yes.
Yeah, Makulu Shift, Makulu Flash, and Makulu Leather or something.
Lethe.
Lethe or Leather, whatever. Yeah,
Lethe.
yeah.
You know what? And this guy's doing it by choice. I quit my last job because I was having to do that by force.
Well, I've been following Jacques for a long time now. Apparently, he used to have a lot of money or something within the family or something, and he went out on his own. He moved to China, and he's been asking for donations because he's actually been struggling. So I don't know where he stands, but I do know he's working out of China. That's for sure.
No, he's moved. He moved from China about 3 months after he got there.
Did he? Where is he
He's
now?
in Thailand.
Oh, he's in Thailand.
He's in
Oh,
Thailand now.
okay.
Yeah.
he's
That
all
might
over
be a
the
little
place.
easier.
You might have passed them on the street then, Colin, and never even known it.
Yeah, probably. Who knows?
You were just there.
Well, that was 6 months ago now, Joe. Nah, he wouldn't have been there at that time, I don't think, would he? Or maybe he was.
No, yeah,
I don't
he's
know.
been there for a good year because I was
Oh,
at one time I was a beta tester for the Flash version, which is an XFCE
Oh, okay.
version of his distro.
Yes.
And he used to have it based on Ubuntu, and it was really, really quick. Okay, it might have started up as 1.2 gig of RAM usage because then that's the way he set the system up to make it really, really quick. He kept a lot of stuff in cache, but now he's got most of his stuff based on Debian, and for
Yeah,
me,
that's right.
it has the same sort of Debian problem of it's older
Yeah.
Yep.
software and
One of the deepen issues.
Mhm.
Well, that's where the Lindos and the Shift vary. One of them's based on Debian, and the other one's based on Ubuntu.
yeah, I
That's
think
where they-
Lindows is based on Ubuntu.
I believe so. And one of them uses WPS, and the other one uses LibreOffice. So I don't know why he's decided to change those. But the last time I tried Markulu Linux, just the updates were all over the place. I think I couldn't restart or something. I had some terrible issues. I want to
If
go
you do
back
get it
and try
working,
again because I think
it's
he's
a
sort of
very
done
nice Cinnamon implementation, and he's done some really clever things with the menu.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, some of these smaller distros,
Yeah, he
it's
has,
like they get too much on their plate. They're trying to do too much, and
Yeah.
they really need to just focus on one thing. The exception might be Arco Linux because Eric Dubois, he's doing a ton of stuff with Arco.
It's a machine.
and all of
I have
it
no idea.
works every time I try one of his his versions of Arco. It just works. It's amazing.
What Jacques has done is he's forked the configurable menu. That's what he's done. And he's done a really good job of it. And it'd be nice if somebody could get that thing back into motion and put it back into Linux Mint, because that thing is absolutely awesome.
That's one of the best menus in Cinnamon.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it died after 17, I think.
Oh.
17, I think it died.
It was buggy there, though. I mean, at the end, it was pretty, it would crash a lot.
The guy wasn't maintaining it, was he? I don't think.
What are you using for your menu in Cinnamon, Rocco? Are you using the default?
I just installed it today, so I am running the default right now.
That's how it's done, Rocco.
But it might not stay there. Just saying.
No, just keep the defaults. That's all.
Yeah. You don't need it. You don't need to customize it.
You don't need any extension.
Wait, I forgot how easy it was to customize Cinnamon, because I went in and I'm a guy that likes the close button on the left.
Oh, me too.
Okay, so
Same here.
I mean, you just go into the settings. It's right there. You can pick and choose what you want on the left, what you want on the right. You don't have a lot of distros will allow you to move the buttons to the left, but they move all the buttons to the left.
Yeah,
I don't want all the buttons to the left. You know what I mean? I want the close on the left. I want the minimize on the right, and I don't want the maximize. Why do you need a maximize button anyway?
You know, there is a window manager that lets you put the Windows decorations anywhere you want, and that's open.
A KDE allows you to do that too, but yeah. But it's so easy in Cinnamon that it's right there. But what I'm saying is, why do you have a maximize button when all you have to do is double click on the title bar?
There's a few reasons. One, it's easier. Some people have some accessibility issues, so double clicking isn't as easy for them. But two, there's other reasons as well, as it's familiar to people. It shows you, typically it's a little arrow or a box that people kind of understand. And double clicking doesn't always do the same function either.
Right.
Double clicking.
I like to set it to close the window.
It does in KDE now, because you've got no single click. Oh, did I say that?
But even aside from that, I use on a second monitor. Right now, as an example, I've got Zoom open, but it's 80%, and then I've got the pop out from YouTube on another window. I drag over so I can watch the chat on the same window. And then when we're done, what I usually do is hit that maximize, boom, and bring it up. And there are times when you want to minimize it instead of trying to drag a corner down, because you can never grab it and get it down to the next size to drag it over to the screen. So there are uses for it.
Yeah, but if you just grab
it does both. It maximizes and minimizes down to what your previous size was.
Yeah, but if you grab the title bar when it's maximized and pull it down, pull the whole window, it'll put it right back to where it was.
Not always, at least on my experience with these screens. Sometimes it'll jump around. So for me to hit that, and it takes care of it by default.
Hey, that's why there's choice, dude.
Yeah.
It should restore back to its very previous state, but it doesn't always do that, and sometimes it's user error, sometimes it's not.
If you got two monitors like I do, two different resolutions,
monitors will definitely, and
here I've got a widescreen curved monitor that's 3440 by 1440, and then I got a 1920 by 1080.
Oh yeah, it'll just blow up.
So it screws around. So that's why there are cases when it works. So having that option to say it's not necessary, I don't necessarily agree with, because.
And I mean, we could say why not get rid of the minimize button? Because you could just click the icon. Was it Elementary that did that, right?
No.
So, but I mean, I do have to say, in Elementary, I don't know if it was just me being stupid, but for the first week that I used Elementary, I literally didn't think about even clicking the icon in the dock to minimize it. I don't know why that didn't cross my mind, but
it didn't cross my mind when
Eric, what one did you just review that didn't have it? I could have swore you reviewed one, and was it you or Tom? I think it was you that reviewed it and said you don't know why there wasn't a minimize button there or something on one of them. I could have.
No, I did that. That happened to me in my Lubuntu video, my Lubuntu LXQT. I couldn't find a minimize. I think it was that one. I couldn't find a minimize button. It drives me nuts when I can't find a
Yeah,
minimize.
and
Pop
Joe,
OS
you're
doesn't
right.
have it.
I had one, but I don't remember what it was. But I remember I had to click the panel to minimize Windows in some distro.
Yeah.
And we really need to quit talking about getting rid of window control buttons, because right now there's a GNOME dev watching this stream, and he's
No buttons. Let's get rid of the
No buttons.
Well,
Yeah, right.
my intention was not to say that we should get rid of it. My intention was just to figure out, why do we need it? If we if we're able to double click why do we need it? I mean, why is it there if we can get the same functionality out of double clicking the title bar?
It just depends on preference, workflow, you know. Typically, I mean, well, right now I'm using Elementary OS, so I just have the close button on the top.
Really?
left.
You're using Elementary?
Yeah, I'm using Elementary right now because I'm on my desktop.
Huh.
But you know, it's also,
it's
don't
not
you
a
think
surprise.
Don't you think it's a comfort thing though too, and what you've been used to? Like you said, even though I know that double click does it, I never think about it because I'm so used to it the old fashioned way. You know,
definitely a
Well, yeah,
comfort.
because you're used to the motions, and if it's something that you're familiar with, you're quicker with it.
Well, it's just to prove that point is when we can't find the minimize button, we're frustrated because it's a comfort. I mean, you could right click the title bar and minimize it, but it's the idea not to have that button there that it's frustrating.
Well, try like what Zeb said with the alt button and the left click to be able to zoom up the screen. At least I know I've got that option, but it drives me nuts. I have to have two hands to make a single motion. You know, it's like, really. So.
It's part of the.
Get yourself a mouse with a gazillion buttons and program one of them as the left alt key.
Yeah, you mean kind of like that one that's got 6 buttons on the side.
Program one of those as an alt key, and you only need one hand again.
Yeah, there's only one problem. You can't program the Logitech mice in Linux.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, can you not?
Nah, not them buttons. No, you can't.
So they're basically useless.
Stop by Logitech.
So it's a pointing device.
That's all it is.
There's a couple of buttons. Well, I'll tell you what. Same thing with the keyboard, though, Rocco. The G5, I hit that accidentally all the time, and next thing I know is all of a sudden I'm going to a Google browse screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm in the middle of something. I'll just barely attach it, and all of a sudden it pops up with a Google.
Well, I don't. I have another keyboard now with G keys, and it doesn't do. They don't do anything. You can't program them either, and there's no way to program, and it doesn't do it. It's like wasted key space. But
yeah, well, there's the ones that Scrapjaw had mentioned. I'm going to look into those. I'll refresh my memory while you guys are talking, and I'll let you know which one it is, because he said those you could, like the color, change the colors, things like that. So I thought he said those could be programmed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one had an onboard memory to allow to do that.
Yeah. So I got myself a new little keyboard because I was sick and tired of hearing myself doing this while I'm on stream. And one of the craziest things it's got some nice volume controls. So you hold down the function key, F10 turns it down, F11 turns it up, F12 turns the whole PC off. So if you miss turning your volume up and you hit, it literally does just gone. There's no
prompt or anything.
There's no prompt to say, "Are you sure?" It just goes into shutdown.
I have a solution.
Yeah, go on.
You should be
buy
able
a
to
new
configure
keyboard.
that, thankfully. Yeah, buy another keyboard. You should be able to configure that actually in your settings, your power settings.
Oh, really?
There should be a setting where it says like power button and what action it does.
Yeah.
Unless they like hard route it to the power, but I doubt they'd do that.
I'm not going to test it just now, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, let's wait till later to
Probably
test it.
not.
That's right.
But,
my F12 brings up the Quake menu on the bottom here. So if I happen to be on this screen, it'll bring it up about this big. And if it's on the other one, it'll bring it up about this big. So
yeah, my laptop has the like embedded power key, and I was really confused about that. You know, when I first got it, because it's literally right next to the like end and minus button on the right. So
I hate when they do that.
My.
My girlfriend's laptop, it's right next to the delete key. It's just like, who does that?
Yeah.
And it's part of the keyboard. It's not just, hey, it's a separate button. It's part of the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just totally disabled it, out of safety, so it doesn't actually do anything anymore.
Smart.
Matt, you still with us?
I am
Okay.
very, very, very
You're all-
quiet.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're awful quiet, man.
He's contemplating my my Switch.
The switch to Mac.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Hey, man, if you want to go to a Mac OS, go ahead. I mean, I'm using the oxymoron of computing right now, so whatever.
I'm just hoping something saves me, but so far I'm.
Well, my wife wanted an iPad, so I
Elementary.
bought her an iPad.
Uh-oh.
She got an iPad because all her sisters
That's
have
how it
got them.
starts.
So, yeah, all her sisters. No, I won't start with me. That's as far as I go as an iPad. Just as long as she knows how to use it, that's the main thing. But
You'll have to
seems
teach her how to use it, Colin, and then that's the first step downward, and then you'll be.
Yeah,
Man,
look,
this is
I've already
really
started,
nice.
Rob. How
This
do
is
you
really
do that?
nice.
Rocco, happy life, happy life.
Yeah.
You're gonna have so many iDevices. You're gonna have
Yeah.
Siri in every room.
Oh,
I mean,
aye, sir.
It's gonna be like iRobot, where like there's a central like.
no, it's more like Big Brother. It's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's in Cupertino.
Yeah. Well, don't talk bad about Mac because Ryan might be watching, and
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
he wouldn't like that. So he's a Mac fanboy.
And I'll tell you what, one of the good things, because one of the things that draws me over to Apple, but is like the hardware software integration. But I mean, System 76, they've been making progress on their plans to take over the world here. Other than maintaining the stuff that they do get, which I think are Clevo laptops. But they are working on their own manufacturing process. I mean, every now and then they'll tweet out a little picture of their setup and whatnot. It's going pretty well, so some good things.
Yeah, but it might. It's not going to be like
Oh,
right
no,
around the
it's
corner.
take
So
forever.
it's going to be a while yet.
But they're doing well.
Yep.
If only they'd use AMD and Ryzen stuff.
Oh my gosh! Did you see the
32 core.
Oh my gosh!
yes.
What a! I mean, you know what I mean? Like, what is Intel trying to do except draw headlines?
Yeah, but there's
Intel's
some
was-
truth that came out about that. There was a couple of the guys that
What wasn't over? It was over.
they had a chiller in the
Yeah.
back, and they had it. Everybody the way they had it promoted was like it was 5 gigahertz out of the box, when in fact it's 2.8.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The 5, but they actually had separate chillers running behind
Yeah.
it. It's crazy.
Yep. That's why I'm saying, what are they trying to do except draw headlines? Because you know that stuff's going to come out. Why would you even do that? And then
Well, the
AMD
guys that
blows
you
them away
forgot-
the next day.
Well, it's basically it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, and that's what it comes down to. And the reality of it is they'll do the apology afterwards, but they'll at least have gotten everybody to look at them.
Yeah.
Is this the new Intel anniversary?
No, it's the
process?
it's
It's
the
28 core.
Yeah, they did a
It's on the
28
wraps.
core, and then AMD announced their 32 core
32
Threadripper, which is
It's got like a
Ridiculous.
200 something watt TDP. It's
Is it 32 core or was it 16 core 32 threads?
no, it's
No,
30.
no,
No.
32 core,
32
Yeah.
core,
64.
64
Yep.
thread.
64.
That's ridiculous.
But see, here's the real key difference. Like, AMD's is an actual chip.
Yeah,
Intel's 28 core is not an actual chip.
it was
It's a
hacked
prototype
together piece of garbage.
thing
Right.
that you ain't even going to be able to buy this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just a prototype.
I just
And-
want to open up. I just want to open up HTOP and look at those 64. Can you imagine?
You'll need a 4K monitor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
my
I
gosh.
want to see what my memory's doing. Wait a minute, I got to go 3/4 of the way down the screen before I can get to
Let me
it.
get past all
And-
the CPUs.
And they put 6-channel memory in that.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh.
It was craziness.
So who's upgrading as soon as it comes out?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Well, I don't need to get to the moon anytime soon, so I could wait.
Just depends on how much it costs.
Well, I looked at the latest i9 and it's like $1,100.
Mhm.
The i9 is such garbage, though. It's such a shame.
It's
Like
an
it-
overglorified i7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even one of the
AMD
i9s. is like,
Threadripper was about $800.
uh-huh.
And that's what they're doing. They're rebranding a lot of their old hardware. Is basically what they're pulling.
So sad.
Just kind of like
That's right.
the Nvidia did with a lot of their cards too.
Yeah,
Like
they're
my
known for that.
760s are rebranded 680. So
I'll tell you what, though, if you want to heat your house with one of those thread rippers, that's the way to go.
Well, you got to go liquid cooling. I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's got a 200. I think they said it was a 230 watt TDP, so it draws as much power as like a bunch of graphics cards.
You know, they're coming out with fans though that push a lot better air.
Yeah, but it depends on the ambient air temperature. Because
but you know,
it also depends on.
It'll be interesting if somebody runs side-by-side tests, because even in the current stuff now, there's not a huge difference between air cooling and water cooling.
But it depends on the ambient air temperature. Because if
it also depends on if you want to hear the noise. I mean, it's going to sound like a jet engine. 20 fans.
The silent fans. I've got 6 fans in my computer right now. I can't hear them.
If I were to run one here off of air cooling, it would not be able to handle it, because the ambient air temperature here, I mean, with AC is like 80. And then it starts jumping up. You know, the temperature outside is like 110, 118 degrees.
You know, you could do like J2 Sense did and put a box fan on. Did you see what he did?
Like a full
4 GPUs, and he put a box fan on there. Then he bought an air conditioner, put the air conditioner in front of it. You know, it goes,
man.
See, there's your ambient temperature, right?
There's your test.
Why don't you just get it?
He did a leaf blower one too. He put a leaf blower in front of it.
Just get a winter PC and a summer PC.
Yeah, there you go.
Deal. Yeah.
I produce
Now
my
you're
best
thinking,
content
Colin.
in the winter.
That's easy. Problem solved. And since Ryan's not here, Zeb, I suppose I'd have to ask you: are you talking squids or?
No, I deliberately said dollars.
Ryan would be so proud, Colin.
That's one thing.
You know what? This room that I'm in is 9.5 by 10 right now. You know what puts the most heat in this room right now? The monitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Monitors
I shut those off when I leave if I'm going to leave any length of time, I shut them off, because I know if I come back, there'll be a sauna in here.
Yeah, but I noticed that the older monitors put off a lot more heat than the newer ones do.
Yeah, but even my new one, I didn't think it was that bad until I shut it off. But even put my hand here, it's throwing a fair amount of heat. If you leave it on all the time, the heat builds up. You know, initially, if you're only running them for a few hours at a time, they're not so bad. But if you leave them on all the time, they get pretty warm. So, and you got 34 inches of heat.
Cooling's a really funny thing, because some companies, they do it well, and then others don't. They do it quite questionably. Like, I'm totally not buying into the whole Apple thing at all here. Actually, it's a criticism. Apple's very lazy with their thermal.
Totally not.
They wait until the CPU's like absolutely jacked up, and then they ramp the fans and try and push it down. That's laziness in a nutshell.
Yeah, but Apple also uses older hardware too. Their architecture is always.
They're like a generation behind on.
No, they're more than that. I think.
Actually, they're not. Like, they're with the CPU stuff. Their cooling is brand new for this generation. They're only like one behind. They're still using Kaby Lake right now.
It's better than like the 4 that they were behind before the update.
Yeah, they're not the same as they were. I'm not. They're still behind, but it's only like one generation.
And I could be wrong, because I don't pay attention that much, because I don't care with them.
I was going to say,
it doesn't matter much either, because Kaby Lake was pretty much a sham. It's an absolute worthless upgrade over
Skylake.
Skylake, there we go. The other lake.
I was actually just Googling, trying to find a potential price on the 32 core Threadripper. Maybe $2,000 is what it's looking like. I don't know.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
For a 32 core thing that doesn't exist. Well,
you got to consider that Intel is probably going to be $3,000 to $4,000 for their 28 core garbage.
Yeah. And the one thing that justifies as well something like that from AMD is AMD's processors do very, very well with multi-threaded tasks. Like their calculations are much better than Intel's. Intel's great with single core, but they fall behind on the multi-core processes.
Well, I'll tell you this too. Even for coolers, like I've got a FX 8370 in my business machine. Ooh. And the Wraith cooler does a decent job, but I still, for an AMD, it's quiet by AMD standards, even though that's an older architecture, but it's still not what my aftermarket coolers are. And I may eventually put my other Nocto, the larger cooler, on this. So I mean, they've made leaps and bounds already with what they've done from where they were. Because, like you said, talk about the heater, you could have cooked the breakfast on the things before.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I was gonna say I had the 8320, I think, and man, you could like any case, it didn't matter full mid, you could literally cook stuff on that.
That
thing.
was the 6-core one, wasn't it?
No, that was the 8-core, 8320.
The 8-core. Okay.
This is an 8-core, and this doesn't get that warm, but it does toast this room up more too if I have it on. So that's why I don't have it on that often. But
I have the 6-core, but I do liquid cooling. I've got one of the Corsair coolers on it. So.
Yeah.
That's one thing I never did was liquid
either.
cooling.
I want to say the Corsair cooler I bought was like $60. Pretty easy to install. So
Yeah, they got
their AIOs are really nice too.
That's nice, yeah.
I was
More RAM.
don't know if you've noticed, if anyone's noticed, there's a new update to Q4 OS, and now after the updates, it's offering to install Plasma 5
no, don't do it.
next to Trinity.
That sounds like it's going to be bad.
That's got to be a bug. Yeah.
Well, it's based on what it uses the KDE 3 desktop, which is the Trinity.
Right. Yeah.
Trinity.
That's
I wonder why it would be doing that though.
Ooh, I would not do that. Mm-mm.
I wouldn't take that update though.
No, I think I will do
He's
it.
done it.
No, I haven't
Uh-oh.
done it.
He's done it already.
I haven't done it, but it just sounds interesting that they're offering to put Plasma alongside of Trinity. So
It would break everything so hard.
That's a whole lot of break.
I'll let you know.
Because all those old KDE 3 apps, I mean, they've been forked. You know, I don't know. That's
So is that their default now?
Q4 OS. Yeah, that's what they use. Yeah, they use the Trinity desktop.
Trinity.
Well, because I'm looking at the screenshots. Did KDE3 have like blur and all that stuff? Because that's in their screenshots.
Did they move over to KDE 5?
No.
I mean, their
Just
screenshot
doesn't-
Oh yeah, I see.
Looks
Oh,
like
you're
it.
talking about on DistroWatch. Is that the one you're looking at?
Q4OS.org.
Oh, you're looking at their website.
Yeah.
It says the system installer configures the system the usual way, but decides afterwards to offer additional installation of the KDE Plasma desktop.
Why
Okay.
would they do that
Wow.
afterwards? Because that's just that's more breakage. Why not do that initially?
Because that wouldn't be any fun, would it?
I guess that's fair. Okay, there you go.
If you're asking about like the transparent panels and stuff, I don't remember. Did KDE 3.5 have
Man,
all that? Before?
I don't remember if
I
it
think
did or
it's
not.
So long.
It has been so long. 3.5, dude, was years ago.
It's not. I mean, it's about 10 years. That's not.
Yeah,
like
that's
forever
dude,
ago.
I can't remember last week, and you want me to remember 10 years ago?
I've only been doing this for 2.5 years, so I have no idea.
Well, I came over to Linux right around 3.5 days, so and I
Yeah,
ran
that's
it.
got to be about Linux Mint 10 time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rocco, what forced you to go to Cinnamon? Was it the fact that KDE 4 was pretty bad, which everyone says?
KDE 4 was
It
terrible.
was horrible.
It was
the worst desktop ever.
I mean, okay, so
Buggy.
3.5 wasn't great. I mean, okay, so I started on 3.5 and I ran it, but it was like there were so many issues that maybe I didn't realize were issues at the time, but it was like really laggy. Like the indexing on it would just slow it down to a halt. There was all kinds of issues with 3.5, but it was like it was kind of one of those things where you just run it anyway, and that's what I knew, so I ran it.
Right.
And there was no other distro out there at the time that would give you the settings that KDE gave you.
Right.
And that's kind of why they went to 4. And they started into 5 because they wanted to get away from the fact that they had all of these settings to maintain. And that's why one of the developers, the Martin, I don't know exactly how to say his name, Flosser? He's the developer for Kwin. He's kind of like stepped back and said somebody else is going to have taken because I guess they want to go. I don't know. There's people that want to take KDE back to having a lot of settings the way it used to be in 3.5, and there's some people like in his camp that don't want to go back to 3.5. They just want something that's manageable.
And you know what's
So-
going to
Are you
happen?
telling me that
People are gonna
KDE
fork it.
had more stuff?
In 3.5, dude, you could set everything.
This
Literally
is like a night.
everything you
KDE's
could set.
already like that.
No. It was no. They stripped out at least half of the settings from
I think
three
it got better. I think we can.
from 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5. At least half the settings are gone.
Do you really need all those settings though? I mean,
No, you don't need them, Colin. You don't.
That's
But do we
that's what the
need
GNOME
any?
people say. Yeah.
But it really was nice.
argument.
It really was nice because you could literally set everything. Like they had a full screen menu called I think it was originally called Home Run,
Home
Oh
Run,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
and you could customize that. I mean, every piece of it you could customize that. And now you have a full screen launcher in KDE that you can't do nothing with. You can open it up. That's about what you can do with it.
I still
you can
haven't
change
even
the
been able to
icon.
Find that.
People
It's in
used
the
to be able to
alternatives.
hack on KDE and come up with like their own shells and stuff.
Yep.
But nobody really does that in Plasma. So
Because it's not necessary.
yeah.
Not
It's
really,
not
because,
necessary, but it was nice.
Plasma's looking really, really nice. For some reason, I've never ever got into KDE. I mean, I ran Plasma for a little while late last year, and it's quite nice. But I think if they, and I believe that they're working on the settings manager to make it look better and perform better as well. I believe. I know they've been talking about it, just to make it. If they just simplify it for new users, I think KDE is just as good as Windows, if you ask me.
And I think the reason that Kubuntu was always equated with being heavy, because I know you guys did the debunking, Rocco, a while back of that, is it doesn't have that snappy, real quick movement stuff. So that doesn't mean the resources are heavy, but the functionality seemed heavy because everything seems to take a couple of seconds to open or move around.
Yeah, but that was that whole myth was from the 3.5 days.
Yeah.
When
And
it
it
really
was
was
from the
heavy.
The 4 days too. Early
Yeah, four is
very-
when, yeah.
compared to GNOME 2, which was the main competitor. I mean, GNOME 2 was very light compared to KDE 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the new one, even the new one now, is very, very nice. I love it, but it's
You
still,
try Ubuntu.
I'm talking about Kubuntu, but even that is still that couple of seconds or split seconds slower than a lot of the distros. Or it just
Really?
seems, I think
I'm
it
not
does.
saying that.
I think
I
Ubuntu
reckon that's-
definitely improved.
I don't know how to describe it. It's not what it used to be. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm spoiled with this where you click it and it's open. Not where it
That
takes
could
you.
be transitions, Joe. That could be transitions that give it the effect of being slower, but they do have a lot of transitions on.
Yeah.
So maybe
that's true.
it's probably just as snappy if you turn off those transitions, because I think they've got it sort of zooming out and zooming away and all that sort of stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rocco, because you
But
probably
even
know
on the main
better than me.
macro, it just seemed
Well-
like it just didn't want to jump to each. But again, like you said, I didn't really look at it to turn stuff off, and I certainly didn't turn any more on. But yeah,
Right.
Derek busts on GNOME all the time for them switching and taking away features and having extensions and then not supporting them.
bugs.
Matt actually does too. But when KDE 3 went to KDE 4,
No.
everything broke.
Transition was
Like,
terrible.
Everything that you were running in 3.5 didn't work in KDE 4.
Well, here's the
That's
thing. The
exactly
GNOME guys saw what KDE did moving from 3 to 4. They should have learned from it, but they didn't because
didn't.
it went from GNOME 2 to GNOME 3. They
Which
just
is-
history repeated itself.
Yeah, but I think that's just a dev thing, dude. I think that's just a dev.
It's
That's
like
just the way
me
they
with
make
all my
decisions.
hardware.
You don't have to keep breaking stuff, though. I mean, you find something that works, stick with it. The XFCE guys, I mean, they're not trying to reinvent the desktop environment every month. They just
Or even Mate, who does like the gradual rollout but on a timely manner. I'm like XFCE.
Yep.
or if you want to add new features, that's
Like,
fine.
it
But
doesn't
the
take
old features I'm used to,
an update.
those,
Yeah, that's
What
one thing I
about,
like about Mate. They don't.
What about release when it's ready? I think a lot of them should go back to release when it's ready instead
like
of
Elementary OS? Oh, I'm sorry.
Like
did I say that out
Elementary
loud?
OS. Yes.
Like Peppermint 9.
Or Solus.
Hey,
Like
Zeb, by the
Peppermint
way,
9.
When's the
Solus is
beta,
fine.
Zeb? When's the
Like
beta?
Linux Mint 19.
Yes.
The beta should be landing tomorrow, but it's still a closed test. It's only forum trusted users only.
Oh, that's pretty cool though. So
Ubuntu
hopefully in a
18.10 is
couple
going to
of
be
weeks,
out
if all
before
goes
Juno
well.
comes out to it. So I think.
nice.
Sorry, Derek?
I said I think Ubuntu 18.10 is going to be out before Juno comes out. Nobody can give you a straight answer on Juno.
No, actually, we're
You
just
may be
trying
right.
not to release too close to 1804 because we don't want to clobber their publicity. You know,
Right.
1804 was almost 2 months ago.
we want to give them some space.
Wait, my question is Linux Mint 19 going to hit before Elementary OS?
Probably.
Yeah, they're already in beta, so they should be right around the
They
corner.
they absolutely will. There's no doubt.
No, the real question is elementary on Michael's schedule?
Yeah, but Juno don't issue. Or Elementary don't issue out betas, do they? They just go
Yeah,
straight.
they do. They do. There's a
They
public.
will.
do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah, they do.
it's,
When they
it's
come
public
close. Yeah.
Ah,
there's a
right,
bigger-
okay.
Zeb, please don't put it on the main machine. It's a beta.
But can we get a daily build? That's really what I want to check out.
No.
No.
I
Unless
will.
you're registered.
I will
Sacred
link you guys
Scrolls.
to this. This is the article from Cassidy over at Elementary OS. I believe I can just pop that in there. Just go ahead and check that out. It's about a month old, but it kind of shows where they're going.
So everybody's now click the link. And,
Yeah, everybody's reading. We're going to stop
Awesome.
talking. And we're
Just dead air.
It's silent.
But
oh my gosh.
yeah, good stuff.
Chicken, where are you at in the chat? In the YouTube chat?
In which chat?
YouTube chat. Say something.
Oh, I'm not. I don't have that open. I was
What?
doing it in Zoom chat.
Bogus.
I know. I'm terrible.
Well, how are the people out there?
Yeah, I
gonna
was about to
get
say
that
we
done?
need to share this with the folks in the chat.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I opened my YouTube chat before, and you all started sounding like robots, so I shut it down.
That'll do it. Yep.
Yeah, but you got to be an admin, I think, to pop it in the YouTube chat.
I think I am an admin.
Are you?
I think.
He
Although
should
I-
be. Should be an
I think-
admin.
I
He's
don't know why, but
responsible.
my keyboard's really lagging. I've just pressed Control V and nothing's happened.
I don't know why I'm an admin. I'm not responsible or anything, but
You're the worst distro hopper out of all of us.
yeah.
Well done, Derek. Just
All
beat
right.
me to it.
My mom's agreeing with me.
That's pretty bad, dude.
Yeah.
I think you just got burned by your own mother.
Is she hearing us laugh?
No.
Okay. You can let her know later that we were all laughing.
They think you're funny.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right, so
So, Shikin, totally un-Linux related. What's the new wheels like on the Mini?
Oh my goodness. So I'm ordering them around the same time I'm ordering all this other stuff. There's a reason. But oh my gosh, I got a good look at them. They brought them out, I could see them, get my hands on them. They are gorgeous. So by stock, it has like these 15-inch, regular alloy wheels. These will be 18-inch JCW wheels. So these are like the special edition John Cooper Works wheels. They're
Do they fit?
Yeah, I'll have to get a lower profile tire.
Yeah, I was going to say, because under the arches, there's not a lot of room anyway on them Minis.
Oh yeah, so bigger tire or bigger wheels, smaller tires. Get probably some sport tires. It looks amazing, so I can't wait to get those installed.
Say goodbye to the ride quality when you go low profile.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's gonna be horrible, but it's gonna look so good.
Don't hit a pothole.
Oh, we got nothing
Yeah,
but
potholes.
potholes here.
I know. That's my
Nothing.
point.
It's so hot over here. I think it just makes it worse.
It just melts all the
Yeah.
melts the pavement.
But it's gonna look so good.
is that a Mini Cooper you've got? Is it? A
Oh,
Mini
yeah.
Cooper? Yeah.
I got the bright red Mini Cooper 2-door with the Union Jack
Red.
mirror caps. It's lovely.
Red. It'll go fast.
Oh yeah, that's
Red,
how it
red
works.
ghost stripes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Those
when he
have
puts his
seat-
when he puts his little Linux heads up display or something.
Oh, there we go. That's doable actually.
I was gonna say, are you gonna pull a Ryan and put a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, right.
I could probably toy around with the in system. I mean, it's got like a updates over USB, so I could flash something on there.
Put elementary on it.
Well, what's this do? Not much. It just looks cool.
Did you see Charlie's question?
Yeah. Did anybody see that SourceForge now has a project to migrate from GitHub to SourceForge? And
Yeah. Everybody's doing that. I mean, GitLab's doing that, GitT. Everybody that hosts anything Git related has some kind of way to import from GitHub. They're all trying to
It's a storm in a teacup just because it's the Microsoft name. Everybody
Mostly,
goes, "Oh, the big boogeyman's
Look,
come into the world." I mean, really?
I've seen more valid cases about the good things that can come from this than the negative. A lot of it is people
I
afraid.
was going to say, did anybody see the fact that Microsoft just made all the paid stuff for GitHub completely free to open source projects?
Yeah, but they did that with Windows too, and then they turn around and data mine you. So what's the difference?
It depends. Joe, you get data mined as soon as you open Windows. It doesn't matter.
So
Well,
I'm not.
If you look at a lot of the
It's like,
people who left, the projects who left from GitHub when this happened, a lot of them were actually doing somewhat illegal stuff where it was like Xbox emulators and stuff like that. So a whole bunch, thousands of projects that moved, a large majority of those were people who were doing stuff that Microsoft doesn't want them doing, like Xbox emulators. So I would call that particularly skewed results.
I would say that GNOME falls into that category because they blow Windows away. They were definitely doing stuff that was illegal.
But GitLab, I'm sure, is a competent alternative to GitHub.
Did you guys see the question and answer session over on Reddit with the new CEO, Nat Friedman? Yeah.
No, I didn't. What'd they say?
Pretty upfront.
Yeah, he actually, he's kind of an open source guy. I mean, he's not really one of these Microsoft types, so he's a good guy to be CEO of GitHub. One of the interesting questions he got that I thought was very honest, the way he answered was, what did he think of Microsoft's comments about Linux and the open source movement in the past? And he basically said those comments were out of fear. He basically admitted Microsoft fears Linux. So I was like, well, that's really honest. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but these people who are migrating to GitLab, I mean, do they know anything about GitLab that it's any better? I mean, like I've heard things about GitLab that I'm not sure of. I don't know. I'm just hearing things.
Well, I moved to GitLab, and I can tell you, I don't know anything about GitLab. I just know Microsoft doesn't own it at the moment. That's
apparently GitLab uses Azure for some things and is migrating to Google. So it's like you're trying to get away from Microsoft, and yet you're going to a service that uses.
I've heard some people say that it's because GitLab is able to be self-hosted and stuff like that. But were they doing this before Microsoft acquisition them?
And are they going to actually self-host it now, or are they just moving?
Exactly.
No, you can self-host now, but before the move, it cost. You had to pay for that privilege. Now they've just said, "Come to us. We're going to make it all free."
So anyone using that as an excuse is obviously it's just a bunch of bull crap. I mean, because they weren't doing this beforehand, so they're not there for the self-hosting. They're there because, hey, Microsoft acquired this. Where can we go?
A lot of people were already leaving GitHub anyway. I mean, not in the numbers they are now, but a lot of people have been complaining about GitHub that it's not free as far as free software.
Right.
Pretty much 100% closed source. So a lot of people have been kind of looking around for other alternatives.
Well, I mean, it is valid that like the self-hosting option is a benefit even if you don't use it, because you don't have to migrate your workflow if you do end up in the future switching over to it.
Well, it's a valid reason to use it. I'm just saying that that as an excuse to jump ship in the way that they are now is obviously
in mass as
an
they
excuse.
are.
Yeah. I'm like 15,000 immediate hops is a bit excessive for
my favorite part about the news, though, the day it broke that the sale was official, GitLab on their front page was congratulating GitHub on the sale to Microsoft, and they had like balloons and banners because GitLab servers were melting down that day. They were getting 10 times their normal traffic on that day.
Oh my god!
I think honestly I would be super cool to see like them both succeed. Because it's great to have that option, that alternative. But I think mass migrations such as these don't do anything but hurt a lot of the projects because, one, they're spending resources on this. But two, when something like that happens, entire infrastructures have to change. Even if it's compatible, the servers themselves aren't equipped to handle all of this.
No.
People aren't familiar with it. Even if it's technically compatible, it's still different. It's still something they have to accustom themselves to, whether it be on the back end or the front end. So it definitely, it may have a longer term benefit for a lot of these projects, but it does somewhat hurt them out of the box.
I just hope that Microsoft doesn't do your typical Microsoft things to GitHub. I don't want to see weird pricing structures. I don't want to see subscription based stuff and rename the site GitHub 365 and all that. Y'all are laughing, but that's kind of their history. I mean, it would be
Well,
No,
that's what
it would be
people are worried about.
It would be a more ridiculous name than GitHub 365.
Yeah, they would drop
let me tell you.
Git from the name. It would be MS, VS, Studio, Hub.
3.
Honestly, I think it's healthy to have skepticism given the company's track record.
Oh yeah,
but
Absolutely.
you also cannot do what we claim Microsoft does. It was for so long in the open source community, which is the FUD.
yeah.
You have because like you mentioned, Derek, the guy that did the AMA.
Yeah.
He has a history in open source. He worked with Xamarin, and he worked with the founder of GNOME and all that.
Right.
So his track record is let our actions prove. And I completely go down that route more first than I do the fear, uncertainty, and doubt situation, because we cry foul every time that a company like Microsoft does something like that, but we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my complaint to the people that tell me like I'm a hater or whatever, that Microsoft has changed, that Satya Nadella is not Ballmer and
Salty
Gates.
Nutella.
Maybe he's not. Maybe Microsoft has changed, but that trust has to be earned. They still haven't done anything to earn that trust.
Yeah.
Years down the
Yes.
road, they've really contributed something to open source and the free software movement. Yeah, then I'll be glad to.
Contributing quite a bit lately.
Well, like their contributions to the Linux kernel all have to do with Microsoft products. I mean, their Azure server.
So does
I mean, they're not.
Well, not
They're doing
specifically to the kernel, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they've partnered with companies like Red Hat, OpenSUSE and whatnot, just to kind of get things done. Sure, it does benefit them, but it also does benefit
They
us.
do business with Red Hat, Canonical, and SUSE, so that's why they do stuff with them. I mean, it's
But going back to what they said years ago, them contributing and getting their hands in this stuff and everything, because of their track record, you can't help feel that there's alternative reasons there. Number one, because it does self-benefit. So to me, they, in essence, I think are the cancer, because that's how cancer works. It eventually slowly works its way into your ecosystem, and then eventually it just gobbles you up. And
Well, the
you
good
can't
thing
help
is
but
we
wonder
have
what their motives are because of the way they've done things. Now, Satya Nadella, he's a smart businessman. I mean, let's face it, whether we like what they're doing or not, the company is extremely profitable. So he's doing something right. But a lot of that is because people it's habit. They're used to doing certain things a certain way, using certain things and whatever. And then there's the people like us that just, enough's enough and we want out. And that's where you come into this ecosystem of doing it.
Well, I will agree with you, Joe, that I don't think that we should just blindly say, yeah, okay, not even look at it again that Microsoft bought that, because they do have a track record. But I don't think the other opposite direction of the reaction was the right thing to do either, where everybody's jumping ship and everybody's, putting all these claims out there. What's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen yet.
Right.
You just have to wait and see.
The mass
It's a
exodus could
different
crash a ship.
Microsoft.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a different Microsoft nowadays as well. Whether we like to think it or not, they aren't interested in Windows anymore.
Because it's not just a new CEO. A whole bunch of the back end's changed.
The whole
Employee
company
base.
structure has changed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reality is their operating system is just a very, very, very small portion of what they make. They make their money off of us, basically.
desktop computing is dead, so they have to change. I mean, that's
It's just not.
Well, that's what.
I just want to make sure that when I'm distro hopping, it doesn't cost me $150 for a GNOME desktop. It doesn't cost me $120 for a Mate desktop, and so on and so forth.
Well, but that's my question though about Microsoft and about what their plans are. And we talk about Linux. We just did Destination Linux last week, where we talked about the gaming and the gaming developers and the fact that it's 2% and lower are the PC sales for games on Linux. So why would Microsoft spend all of this money to there's this big fear that Microsoft is trying to take down Linux slowly and all that, but why would they take that? Why would they do that if it's less than 2% of people use?
It's not the desktop they're looking at. They're looking at
the server.
Yeah.
Server back end. The desktop to them is just this back burner project now. It doesn't matter if it's Windows, Linux, whatever.
Now, Microsoft is worth like $600 billion. If they want to really get into the server market in Linux, I mean, they could buy a Red Hat or Canonical tomorrow. I mean, they could
buy basically all the big Linux vendors.
Yeah, they could buy them all. You're right, all of them.
The interesting thing is that
it's a lot of money because Red Hat make a lot of money, right? Because it's not
but they don't make Microsoft money.
No, they're not. But I mean, there's more money in that than just the desktop, though, isn't there?
Yes.
I mean,
the
servers and all that.
Think about something though, too. I mean, right? Think about their timing, and this is another thing that makes it more suspect because, especially when XP had its end of life, there was a lot of jump ship to Linux then, because people were afraid of what was coming because they heard the horror stories then, and then the fact that they were pushing it down people's throats. Windows 7, you don't hear as much of it about, and I think that you'll start hearing more when the end of life comes, but it's not going to be the same as when XP did the changeover. But the reality of this whole thing is I just lost my train of thought. The ecosystem, what they're basically doing here is they're trying to me, I think they're trying to get their hands in it, so because they like to suppress, block, whatever, and eventually maybe in some way, shape, or form try to control it if they can. I don't know if it'll happen because this community, but that's where it's going with the timing of this. When you think about it, Linux is probably as strong as it's ever been in the last few years, and it keeps getting stronger, don't you think?
Yeah, but that's my question though. We like Linux users will say that it's as strong as it's ever been, but how many regular users actually run Linux? What I'm saying is there's this big mass exodus?
No one runs Linux in the real world.
Is there a big mass exodus from Windows, or is it just us being pro Linux to say, people are jumping ship and Microsoft's worried? I don't know if, like I said, just looking at the game aspect of it, where we're so excited to get certain games on Linux, yet it's only 0.1% of all PC game sales is for Linux.
I think they're trying to get into the server market. I mean, Red Hat makes all their billions on the server market. Canonical, the profit they do make is all in the cloud and IoT and all that stuff. That's what Microsoft wants to do. They're moving away from the desktop computing.
Yeah, I mean, Linux
Dolphin just made some interesting comments. Yeah, he says, that a lot of open source software runs on Windows. You don't need Linux for that. And then there's a rumor going around that GitLabs runs on Azure.
Yeah, it does. That's not a rumor. So did GitHub also ran on Azure. Yeah.
Well, that's why I said about people jumping ship.
Run away from Microsoft and then go onto a Microsoft platform. Yeah, good idea.
Why don't we just all use Apple services? I mean, come on, it's clearly the
right
way.
Let's do it.
Because it's about as good as their Maps application. Steer you right in the wrong direction off a cliff.
You're looking at the percentage numbers as being low. I mean, if you think about if you look at the percentage of even just desktop users now, which desktop, like we already said, is probably the least of their worries. That's more than tripled from what it was in the last couple years or whatever with Linux. And I think with these type of channels and these type of discussions and they keep growing, that's where they're probably being a little bit smart, is because as much as it seems insignificant now, they make one more really wrong move, or a couple more wrong moves, that could change in a hurry too. Because I think people who used to say, well, what is Linux before? Most of them now are saying, well, I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. So they're at least hearing about it. The next step is starting to get them familiar with it. And that's where people like us come along, that you put it on a desktop, you show them what it could do, get them familiar with it, and you might convert. And I've been converting people. There's a lot of people who use it. But the first thing, they say is, well, if I can't do my emails, or I can't do my Word documents, or whatever, the 99% of the people that work on a computer don't have special requirements, or 98 or whatever the percentage. But
I'm not saying that we're not succeeding in getting more people to Linux. I'm just saying that the comparatively speaking, it's like drops in the ocean compared to how many people run Windows.
Well, maybe it comes down to preserving what we have too, versus what you can get, because that's what I've been. And so to me, it's, you never drop your guard with them.
I think the masses really don't. All they do is they just run Windows. That's all they know. And I think when you're talking about the highest percentage of Windows users, most of them don't know, or probably don't even care that there's anything else available, because all they do is they go pay somebody to fix their computer when it's not working. That's the mentality that most people have. We seem to be a unique amount of people here running Linux, and then it's probably the people that we know with the people that they know that are running Linux at trying to migrate other people over, because they know the advantages of just, an average PC user doesn't need the complications, do they? But we're trying to move people over, but I think the masses don't know.
I think it's more important for them to want to be over here than it is for us to just focus on getting them over here. I think we should look out for their best interests before we consider converting them. So it's kind of hard to balance that.
And I think, honestly, a lot of it is people just want to get their crap done. They don't care. At the end of the day, people don't care as long as they can get their stuff done.
Yeah.
Chicken, would you be switching potentially to Mac OS if you get the same stuff done without the headaches?
Absolutely not.
See, that's why people go to Mac, and even though it has its own sets of flaws.
Oh, yeah. It's got some big problems as well.
But keep your iOS out of my OS 10 things. But, that's, at the end of the day, average consumers, the average people we meet on the street, these things are just like, this is a hobby for everybody here. This is stuff we enjoy doing. The average consumer doesn't care about the specs on their phone, or how many, applications and all this other stuff. They know this application works. This is what they use. That is the mentality that they use. It doesn't matter if it's 10 years out of date. They'll still use it.
Yeah, that's true. They use it till it drops, don't they, pretty much, till it doesn't work anymore. Although there's a lot of disgruntled Windows 10 users. I mean, my brother's one. He bought all these lower spec laptops that they're bringing out at the moment. Some of them still 4 gigs of RAM, or 8 gigs of RAM, and people's laptops. My brother said his laptop's struggling. When you come over next, which I'm going over in a few months, he said, "Can you put a Linux on there?" He knows nothing about it, but he said his laptop doesn't work. It doesn't function properly with Windows 10. I don't think it's made for these lower spec laptops to work.
Oh, it's certainly not, even despite their efforts to allow it to run on smaller, less capable platforms. It's still in no way, shape, or form.
No.
It started out though that way because that was their claim, was that it would run, because Linux always laid the claim too that, it's always great for older hardware, because that's all everybody ever knew about Linux. It was older hardware. Now that's changed too. And when they first pushed out Windows 10, their big thing was, you can run it with just a couple of gigs of RAM and it'll do just fine, and minimal processor.
It was the same hardware requirements as Windows 8 is what they claimed.
Yeah,
and you believe so?
Because I was into testing just to see what it would do, because I have to keep knowledge because of my business. But the reality of it is it did. But now with everything else they keep doing to it, and the more they keep putting in there, it's becoming a heavier system, and it's not working as well.
I mean, that is absolutely right with the initial release of Windows 10, because I remember, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Asus EEE PC.
Yeah.
It's like this really old, yeah. So
Yeah.
right, and so I actually had one of those, and it ran XP by default, and XP took forever to boot up, and you would right click, and it would take like almost a minute right after you booted for the right click menu to come up.
Welcome to the netbook.
But after Windows 10, it actually was a lot better. But it must have been, recent updates to Windows 10 that changed it all.
Yeah.
When they did what was it, 15? Oh god, what was the release? 15 something.
Creators update, wasn't it?
It was one of the
creators was another big one, but it actually was one or two generation before that. It was either their not
It was
their
probably
first,
the anniversary update.
the second release. That was the anniversary of the second release then? I
Yeah,
remember, or third.
the second one.
Yeah, okay. Then that's when I think everything changed, because that's when people were starting to complain with stuff breaking again, and they physically broke hardware. There were people that claimed that physically broke speakers in their systems, and it was I'm talking physical break where they could.
The good thing is it seems they've learned, and now they're releasing updates in a way that's more progressive and less. Hey, here's a large chunk of things that aren't confirmed and tested, and let's see how it works.
But the problem is, every time you turn the system on,
there's updates.
It's always doing something. Every time I turn it on, it never stops running. It's always running.
I think that's the biggest criticism I have. Like, there's always some random process that might be taking up like a bunch of disk usage or CPU, and you just don't really know what it is.
That's why we need 32-core Threadrippers.
Well, they don't tell the average consumer that, hey, when you do this big update, just know that you're going to have backup files that you can revert back to that are going to take up 32 gigs every time.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Wondering why your hard drive keeps disappearing.
Just talking about the ASUS PC, Matthew, I've got a work colleague who's got one of those, and he was running XP, and it was terrible. So he's running MX16 on that, and he's had it on there, I think, maybe 12 months now. He's 65 years old. He's never knew nothing about Linux. I just told him, just make sure you keep it updated, and it's running like a dream on that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I actually found the only reliable OS was Enlightenment with MacPup. That was literally the only OS that worked really well.
Prophetic in the house.
I came at the perfect timing.
I have installed
giving some love on MacPup and Puppy Linux. Love it.
Come on.
I was gonna say I have an Enlightenment desktop installed on a Sony I got back here. I think it uses on boot with Firefox and Synaptic running like 252 megs of 6 gigs.
Well, Zeb, I got a peppermint challenge.
Is it too late to join? And I can see him going, let me in.
Zeb, I got a peppermint challenge. I got this laptop, which got Linux Mint on it, but this one over here is like an older one, like older. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna, because I tried to install Ubuntu 18.10 on it, and it was just a nightmare. And I tried another one, and I can't remember what that was, but I did that one install either. It was just taking forever. So I'm gonna put peppermint on it and see what it can do.
Peppermint 8, go for it.
You should save yourself the trouble and just go with MacPup. I'm telling you.
Yeah, sure.
Does somebody say Mac?
MacPup?
Yeah, but Mac, all those Puppy Linux ones, they're really, really clever, and they run fantastic from USB.
They're fun. They're fun and quirky, yeah.
But it's like a Fisher Price system. It's like
no, that's
don't tell Matt about
yeah.
No. Let's get this clear.
I got to check this out. MacPup, you say, huh?
That's what this one's going to up here.
No.
Listen, I'm about to get triggered here. Let's set the record straight. MacPup is not like a Fisher Price. That's elementary OS. Let's get that.
Wow. Holy.
Number
mackerel.
2. You like that one, Dark? Well, that was for you, buddy. Number 2. MacPup.
Hey, don't be throwing me under the bus.
that's your line. I borrowed your line.
Dude, look at this. This is like
I
terrible looking.
Number 2 is that MacPup is
call
like
elementary.
the MacPup is like that dirty old Swiss Army knife that your grandpa like stored and forgot to put away. That if you use it too much, you might like cut yourself and ruin your whole system because you just like didn't know how to boot into it or install it right, and everything just goes to kaput.
Yeah.
So that's MacPup.
That sounds like a
looks-
wonderful thing.
That's pup in
looks
general.
like it looks like KD 3.5 days.
I thought he
even
was gonna
before
say
3.5. I think like before KD 3.5.
Yeah, anything puppy is like that. I use that analogy.
It's
So-
terrible.
Well, so I have a question. Has anyone used Enlightenment as their like daily driver? Because I actually found like there's a weird appeal to it that I almost wanted to try it out, but I wasn't sure.
Then his
How
eyes
excited.
worked, and then he said no.
I thought that about TrueOS and Lumina, and then I used it, and no.
Yeah, there's a difference though. Lumina's horrible.
It
Enlightenment's
is.
not that bad. Yeah.
I've heard good things about Enlightenment. That was Wayland
Enlightenment,
compatible, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Wow.
Enlightenment is one of those things where you have to check your desktop metaphor at the door. It just does stuff differently. Like the panels aren't called panels; they're called shelves.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
It's just different names for different things.
It's a desktop environment for librarians.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt,
really wanna
what year
confuse
does this? What year
If you
does
wanna-
this look like?
If you really want to
Enlightenment.
confuse people about Linux, if you really want you try to show somebody something, especially somebody that's older, show them a PC or a laptop that's sitting there with no hard drive in it, and you're running an operating system. They go, "How did you do that?" Well, Linux runs in the memory, and it's called Puppy Linux, and you put it right in the memory. And I did that back, I think it was 5.7 or something. And they're going, I still don't understand how that works. If you don't have any hard drive in there, what do you store? How do you store anything, or what do you know?
It has freaked out some people, and I had some themes on it that looked like XP once.
Yeah.
And in college, I used to go into the labs because the labs had like a time limit on how long you could be on there, and I'll just throw in there and just like make it look like XP or make it look like Windows 7, and people would think I worked there because like, dude, how is this guy like bypassing the limit here? And they would ask me like, hey, can you put in the code to do this? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just doing a test. I can't. I'm working here. And I was just like continue doing my paper or whatever it is. It was pretty fun. So that's why I'm always pushing like Puppy Linux is a fun thing because it's like throwback, like paying tribute to all the fun stuff I did with it.
Yeah.
Enlightenment can make you feel like a real noob, I must say. But the way they do their installs, I think, if I remember correctly, is on the internet, isn't it? Their software centers on the internet.
No, that's no. You're thinking Bodhi.
Oh.
But Bodhi uses uses a fork from Enlightenment because they didn't like what Enlightenment going to, so they forked. I think it was E17 or 18, and it's a desktop called I believe it's Moshka or something along those.
Yeah, Moshka. That's right. Yeah, Moshka.
So Bodhi does installs from the net. He uses what app URL I think or something along those lines.
So how were you running Enlightenment then, Matt? How do you run it?
I use a distro called eLive. It's kind of a crusty old distro, but the guy still develops it. I think it's running 8 right now. I think this is the base. So it's about a 1604 kind of base distro, but it's if you want stable.
You cut out, Matt. What'd you say?
I was gonna say if you wanted stable, eLive works. I use it on my.
Not keen on that one.
I use that on my Lenovo Yoga. Actually, that's the distro that's on there now.
That's pretty nice.
Wasn't eLive that distro that you had to buy though?
You don't have to buy it
anymore. Yeah.
Oh, they've changed it, have they?
Yeah,
so they've gone the way of Robo Linux. Charge the first 20 million people who download it, and then
yeah, pretty
they
much
made all their money.
Actually, a lot of it was because they couldn't get people to test it. Is why they went because it was for a lot of people it was a paywall. I mean, $15 to download the installer. Hey, whatever.
Well, this was for E17 Enlightenment.
I'm not sure whatever.
I must confess, I was actually one of the people who actually purchased a download for one of the Lightman versions. That was actually my first Linux purchase of any kind. I was just like I was like stuck for time. I didn't want to bother with a torrent or look for something, and I just wanted to test it out fast and had a short time window. It was like $10 too, or something like that.
Yeah, it was $10-15, I think.
Yeah, and I actually did it, and I was like, of course, I'm not surprised if I'm like the one person that year that did that, but yeah, I remember that.
I was gonna say, actually, I financially support part of the eLive guy because I like the work that he does, honestly.
That's awesome.
I also support Solus and
Elementary OS and
no, because
Wow.
I don't like Play School OSs. I'm good.
Wow.
Fisher Price to Play School. It's going to have his Nick Jr. episode coming out by Elementary OS.
So eLive uses the what's the name, the desktop environment. What we're talking about? Enlightenment by default.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Like I said, take your expectations on how a desktop works and kind of throw it out the door.
More like take an acid trip and then
take it.
The problem with Enlightenment is like in this weird like half spot where it's like part desktop, part window manager. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of libraries as far as what it actually does, because parts of it's like you have to right click to actually get the menu, and so that's more like Fluxbox, but on the flip side
it has widgets.
It has widgets for all the pointy clicky stuff, so it's
that's pretty cool.
Derek, do you have a video on Enlightenment?
No, I'm not a big fan of Enlightenment. I have looked at it before.
Well, I expect you to have a video up so I don't have to download it and try
it.
Challenge accepted, right, DistroTube?
Yeah, we might do that, but I can save you the trouble if you want a light window manager, OpenBox, or as Darkwing said, Fluxbox. Both of those are really solid, and they won't frustrate you the way Enlightenment will the first time.
But I do have to say,
Box was updated. Just accurate. When was the last time?
I want to say 2 years ago. I looked at it recently just to see when the last release was. I want to say it was maybe 2 years. It wasn't like forever ago.
Okay.
Google it real quick.
Okay. Sorry, Matthew, to cut you off there.
Oh, I was just going to mention now, even though, that's a little weird, have you ever used Terminology, their terminal emulator? Because I actually found that it's like tricked out with a bunch of awesome, like cool random features. I like it. I don't know.
Is it the Pingui OS of like terminals, or the Super OS of terminals?
It'd be kind of like running Terminator almost.
Yeah, Terminator is very similar. Yeah.
Ping iOS is not like that anymore. He doesn't load up every application from the repo anymore.
Oh no!
So there's no more Ultimate Ping iOS anymore.
We just call all of the Super Ultimate Pingu. Yeah, just clump them together. That's all.
Yeah,
they should all join together. But actually, I joined the chat like last minute because I was working on something else. But then once you guys started talking about like marketing and converting people to using it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my favorite stuff to talk about.
So what's your opinion?
Oh man, I think there has to be like the industry that we're in and the tech industry. Like there's so many different layers as you go deeper and learn more. I think we have to have a better appreciation for the other industries or the disciplines, I should say, surrounding the tech industry. So like we learned already through the 90s and the tech bubble, like the best products don't always win. Sometimes marketing can be the marketing can be a significant factor for the sustainability of the project. Which means if we don't respect marketing as a discipline, which marketing is nothing more than just a hodgepodge of psychology, graphic design, and linguistics. Like really, that's all it is. But we package it and say it's marketing as a summary of the idea. and we have to like kind of like respect marketing more and not be so like afraid of it or think it's like poo it, that and also like asking for money. Like some Linux projects or people from different like political philosophies that come from a Linux background, like they're almost like allergic. They think it's a bad thing to want money and like have people pay their bills while working on open source projects. And I think until we get over that hump, we're never going to find the conversion rates. And my last thing I'll say real quick is that we should care about the conversion rates. Why? Because our democracies are depending on it, with anonymous browsing and protecting users' privacy and all those things. And I think that's like the biggest like marketing opportunity for us to say, hey, we care about that. And more and more people are starting to care about that. Now they have like with Facebook and Cambridge Analytics coming out, like people are starting to get freaked out a little bit more now.
It's more about what operating system we run. I mean, people really need to take privacy a lot more seriously. You know, Richard Stallman and the whole free software movement, it's more than just Linux. It's more than just software. It's life in general. You know?
Yeah, and one more thing to add to that, because you brought up the person who shall not be named, is the fact that the way we do it, we have to not only have to care about marketing as a discipline and try it out, we have to care enough about the delivery of that marketing. And that guy has freaking, in some ways, he's like brought some things to the table that's the conversation forward. But Jesus Christ, he brought the conversation back sometimes too, by the way he delivers it, the fact that he speaks in paragraphs and then gets mad if you interrupt him to interject and correct him. Like he brought it back. So like that has to be like a muscle that we develop. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Well, there's
like,
no doubt that Richard Stallman is a complete whack job.
Yeah.
But we need somebody like that who is stubborn. He's very principled. He will not be budged an inch on anything. I mean, he serves a purpose. Now, is he the best face to put out there? No.
No. And that's why we don't discuss Richard Stallman on this show.
Need Richard Stallman for anything. Richard Stallman should not even be in the conversation. Sorry.
Really? Wow. I didn't know it was that strongly held.
Well, he is one of the fathers of our operating system that we're all running here. I mean,
don't care.
So
the man should not be mentioned.
Depends on what you do to it afterwards. I mean,
but
he's got a poor face in terms of public eye.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, we're going to end the show because this show
it's about to get
will not talk about that person.
Anti.
All right. So everybody gets the last word. Zeb.
If you want a nice, easy Linux life, just install Peppermint OS. It just runs. And then once you've done that, join us tomorrow for episode 74 of Destination Linux.
Ooh. Yep. Nice. Hopefully being live streamed on YouTube, unless there's issues, and then it won't. Joe?
Actually, instead of just a short word, I just want to comment on what Prophetic said. The thing that's scary about money, one breath, you need money to help Linux survive and grow. The other side of the coin is money is the thing that tends to skew things and makes everything get to where you don't want it to be too. And it's where do you have that line? You know what I mean? Before all of a sudden the greed takes over and next thing you know, you've got what was an open source system becomes a proprietary eventually. Which I don't know if that would ever happen, but the point is you're starting out with, yes, you need help and support financially. But what I like about it is the fact that we have a choice on who, where, and what we want to donate to. It's just how do we get more people doing that versus rather than forcing them to do it. That's
socializing them to do it. Yeah.
So that's pretty.
Derek, last word.
I'm going to quote, "He that shall not be named, respect your freedom or you will lose it."
Matthew, last word.
Go try out Enlightenment.
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment. You're about to, because I am going to take it for a spin just for the fun of it, nostalgia. So,
Derek's going to do a video on it, and you're going to take it for a spin
on Enlightenment, not elementary.
Yeah, next week we'll come back and we'll talk about your experiences.
Because it won't be rock.
That's right. Won't be mine.
Your experiences and ours watching you.
That's right. Done.
We'll watch your pain. There you go. Chicken. Last word.
speaking of the whole monetary contributions and everything like that, I actually just updated my pledge to Elementary. Yeah.
Nice.
Even
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Elementary OS. Check it.
Colin, last word.
Linux Mint 19 I'll be checking out big time this week.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Matt?
Donations, just because it's free doesn't mean you shouldn't help support it.
Correct.
Yep.
I love it. Prophetic, last word.
Have you guys considered giving to the MacPup project?
No, because we never really heard of it.
You know, we should. We should
As
probably give to the Max Pup Linux project because it needs it. It needs some serious help. Okay.
I'm the chief marketing officer of MacPup, and I'm here to help them out.
Rocco, because Michael's not here, textdigital.com.
Oh my gosh! I thought we were gonna do like a whole episode without hearing it, but Michael will be so proud. He'll be so proud. All right, thank you for everybody showing up. Like Zeb said, check out Destination Linux. If you can't check it out on Sunday live, it'll release Friday, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Ryan and Michael who are down at Self right now. So,
ooh, sounds like
all right,
fun.
Nice.
We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.
See you
Peace.
guys.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.